Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Broadway Jets YouTube channel. You'll know me from Twitter as NYJ Mike. I'm joined as always by the master of receipts, NYJ Matt. And Matt, free agency's open. The Jets, if you ask me who they signed, nobody. So it is 10 o'clock here, Eastern Pacific, not Pacific time. That's not what Pacific time is. And the Jets have made no moves. So, Matt, we're a little bit distraught. We're going to complain a little bit. There's still time for good things to happen, but they haven't happened yet. So,
Yeah. And hey, if you are here and you do like Mike and I on Twitter, go ahead and hit subscribe. We'd love to have you be a part of the channel. Comment below what you're most upset about. But yeah, I would argue legal tampering is a top 5 day in the calendar year for football. Draft, Super Bowl week 1, legal tampering, throwing like the divisional round of playoff weekend. This is a top 5 day, and the window is open at 12 o'clock, and you see a flood of free agents go. Some guys you want, some guys you don't want. And obviously, the Jets are full set on offensive line and receiver. Like, those are the two things that you're just locked in on. And you see a lot of guys in tier 1 of this free agent class go off the board. Not a fun feeling. Now, does that mean that the Jets are fucked? Not yet. But when the pool gets smaller and smaller, and your leverage for both ways, right? Your leverage as a team gets impacted because now you really need that guy. That guy might not have another team to go to. So, Mike, it is dwindling. And again, they have not made a move. So give me your clear path forward. And right now, Joe Douglas is asleep, but he can wake up. The memes of him at like Taco Bell and McDonald's drive-thru are very, very funny. And
the memes are very funny. It's
they're
just,
amazing.
and we're playing into it. You'd like to see the finished product before we're doing this stuff, but I have been tweeting out some ridiculous shit. The clear path forward, Matt, I don't know. So things got a little dicey because a lot of the guys that we thought would be available, whether it was via trade or free agency, either re-signed with their team, like guys like Michael Pittman. You saw a lot of the offensive linemen go back and re-sign with their teams. Graham Glasgow is one of the guys from the Lions, just as an example. And then you heard some teams, some guys like we were always hoping, man, maybe the Jets can get a Devontae Adams. It doesn't seem likely that the Raiders are going to sell any of their players, and they go sign Christian Wilkins today for $110 million. Makes you think, why would they trade their star receiver away? Stuff like that. So the pool was a little maybe smaller than we thought, but like we've been saying all offseason, you really, even in free agency, you just need 2 offensive linemen, 2 real starters, and a receiver. So, because you're going to most likely draft a tackle with the 10th pick. So you need 2 guys. And we watched a lot of them go off the board today, Matt. So there's still guys. You still have Tyron Smith out there. David Bakhtiari is probably going to be on the Jets in some capacity. We'll talk about that a little more. You still have Kevin Zeitler as one of the guards. So here we are. And we're not in a bad spot yet, but it's getting dicey.
It's a good point. You really can plug in right tackle like in your head in the draft. You can plug that in. And then I really think my current feelings all revolve around Tyron Smith. I know he's a little bit older. I know injuries have caught up with him. But if you get Tyron Smith as your plug and play left tackle, boom, he's there.
Yep.
And if you can get David Bakhtiari, I don't know if he'll be a vet minimum, but to a very team friendly deal. And then you have the 10th overall pick, Tyron Smith, and a great insurance piece in Bakhtiari. And then you have Carter Warren, who you like.
Right, and Carter Warren should be the 4th or 5th guy, not the backup.
Enough of Carter Warren being a potential starter on this 2024 Jets team. It just can't happen. But if you get Tyron Smith and you make that strong move, then you're like, okay, now we just need a guard and a wide receiver too. And wide receiver too, Mike, it doesn't sound like Courtland Sutton's going to move. Like the most recent reports, they don't want to move Courtland Sutton.
Of course, the Broncos traded Jerry Jeudy.
I'm not giving up significant draft capital and having to pay T. Higgins an insane contract. It's like and I would do it. I would do it in terms of like if they end up making that move, then you're all in right now to win. But maybe you move to Calvin Ridley as like your wide receiver too, and it's a big contract. You don't have to give up draft capital. But if you get Tyron Smith and Calvin Ridley and you parlay those two together, the day and the free agency narrative completely changes for Joe Douglas in the front office.
Right, Matt, 100%. Because then you did what you had to do. You got a top left tackle and you got the top wide receiver in free agency. You saw guys like Gabe Davis go for a ton of money. The tackle market has been a little interesting. The Patriots re-signed Michael Oman, whatever the hell his name is, 3 years, $57 million. Even though he's not like a straight up tackle. We saw Robert Hunt, the guard, go 5 years, $100 million to the Panthers, which was a massive contract. Of course, our old friend Bryce Huff goes to the Eagles, 3 years, $51 million. So Matt, like to that point, Bryce Huff goes. You're not paying Bryce Huff, so this is where the Jet fans get frustrated. This is where I agree with them. Joe Douglas has done a lot of bargain hunting in his free agency as the Jets GM and has not had a lot of success. He's got guys like DJ Reed, which has been a terrific signing. There's been some other decent guys here along the way. Huff goes, you're a Jet fan. You're pumped up for this day, like we've been talking about, literally us. And then immediately your number one team free agent gone, 3 years, $51 million. So you're like, all right, we have money that we're not using on Bryce Huff that we need to spend on legitimate guys. So I rather overpay for a couple of these top guys than a bunch of mediocre guys, which I think a lot of people agree with. But from the beginning of the Bryce Huff saga, like how do you think Joe Douglas approached that?
Ideally, if you take a receiver at 15 last year, or you get a Broderick Jones if he falls, you don't have Will McDonald as a premium draft pick, and you can extend and feel a little bit better about extending Bryce Huff. Like if you draft JSN, and JSN didn't have a world beater rookie year, but then you kind of don't need to tackle wide receiver as hard this year, and you can extend Huff and feel a little bit better about yourself. It's tough to say too. You made the great call out. If the Jets were to trade Bryce Huff when they're 4-3, 4-4 last year, we would have lost our minds. So you kind of get why they didn't want to move off him, and maybe they thought they can get him back for 14 per, and they couldn't. Right, he goes down the turnpike and gets a better deal with a team that has a better overall roster than the Jets. So I do get the entire move from Huff's point of view, but Mike, my frustration is, and I tweeted it out as a joke, and even though I kind of believe it. By the way, Joe Mixon got cut.
Oh,
the Bengals cut Joe Mixon.
Mo Jackson.
I really feel as if Joe Douglas doesn't understand that you can tamper before 12 o'clock on Monday.
That was a good tweet. Yeah.
Like I almost feel as if he plays by the rules too much, and he's confused every year for the past 5 years of how these guys sign at 12:04. And one time, Mike, I'd like for that move to happen at 1:15. Like we had a deal ready to go, and boom, Tyron Smith is there. Yep. Like
especially this year, because
this year
in the years past, the Jets didn't. And not including last year. Last year, there was an urgent year. But before that, the Jets were always in this rebuilding mode. And it was working, especially after Joe Douglas hit that 2022 draft. His strategy made sense. And you're like, all right, let's not overcommit. We didn't need to sign Robert Hunt for 5 years, $100 million in 2022, something like that. It wouldn't have really made too much sense. But then this year, you're all in. And of course, Connor Hughes comes out with the report yesterday, and he's like, the Jets aren't going to spend big, at least initially in free agency. And you're like, if this is not the time you're going to spend big, when are you going to spend big? Because we've given Joe Douglas credit. We said Joe Douglas built the roster to a point where you really only have a few needs. And we listed them out, and we said it all offseason, and it's one wide receiver, 3 offensive linemen, which is not ideal. But, that's really it. You need a safety. You need like a backup running back, a backup quarterback, stuff like that. That's, you fill that in your team.
Yeah.
But he put the Jets in a decent spot. So you have that money. The Jets had what? Listed like $39-40 million in cap, or $30 to $40 million in cap. You have the 10th pick. You can't go out and compete in these markets to get one of these premier offensive linemen. Frustrating, and if again, they could get the guy, but as of right now, they haven't.
And you can clear more cap space. We talked about it before, restructuring CJ Mosley. And then it comes down to like owner and cash and what you're able to give up front, which you don't know like what's going on behind the scenes, but Jesus Christ, do something, right? And Mike, from your standpoint, how much of a factor do you think Keith Carter and Nathaniel Hackett play into getting some of these offensive linemen and getting some of these weapons, you think?
I get it, but you think that Rodgers plays more of a factor. That is my thought. Like the most thing that I'm really nervous about is getting a backup quarterback, and then if Rodgers gets hurt for a couple games, like how the hell are they going to score points? I don't know because it just didn't work last year, and that's scary. And I don't trust Hackett.
I
But
don't trust
I
Hackett
would,
for wide receivers. Yeah.
I get it, but I would think that Rodgers outweighs that.
For wide receivers, I agree. Like, I think if I'm a wide receiver, I'd go there for Rodgers over like that. The Hackett thing wouldn't impact me as much. But for offensive linemen, like Keith Carter is your guy every day in
Yeah,
the coaching room, in practice, and Taylor Lewan and a ton of offensive linemen hate Keith Carter. And it's like, all right, that is your guy. And God damn it, like Tyron Smith follows the busting with the boys guys, and all he sees is them talking bad about Keith Carter. Like, you're gonna spend the last 2 years of your career paying insane taxes, playing on a horrible turf in New Jersey. Like, I don't know, Mike. That's the scary part of it.
Rodgers. We have Rodgers. I don't know. I agree. I get it. Like it's interesting, and it all matters. It all factors in. I mean, I wish there was a better path for the Jets to get Bakhtiari and Tyron Smith, so I could root for that. But I don't know if it makes sense, and I don't know. And if the Jets really take themselves out of a Tyron Smith kind of situation because they're focused on just getting Bakhtiari and no other tackle, I will be very frustrated.
But if you're Bakhtiari, do you get the fact that you played 12 games in 3 years? You're coming off a major knee injury when you feel your most like, and you call it out of, hey, I get to get a contract of $1.5 million, $2 million. It'll probably be more than that. I'm saying if it was a vet minimum deal, I had to be with my boy Aaron Rodgers. I can go out with him in the city, do all the fun stuff that Rodgers did this past year. I'm going to do that in New York, and then I don't have to put the wear and tear on my body until I'm ready. Like,
but it's just weird because the weird thing in my brain is that if Bakhtiari is healthy, he should start because he's a Pro Bowl tackle.
You then, I would say this. I think I've seen once like a report that Fuaga could play like right guard. Like
he's the right guard then he's the right guard.
Right, forever. In that scenario. But like Joe Alt, I don't think he's gonna fall. Joe Alt's not playing guard. I don't think Olu would play guard. But yeah, maybe like the most insane offensive line ever is you have Tyron Smith at left tackle, you have AVT at left guard, you have Tippmann at center, Fuaga at right guard, and then Bakhtiari at right tackle. Right. You have Carter Warren and Max Mitchell backing up. Maybe you get Connor McGovern on a team-friendly deal to back up.
Like still Schweitzer too. It's a good backup.
In that scenario, you feel pretty good, but is that realistic to draft Fuaga at 10, make him a guard, and trust David Bakhtiari's medically repaired knee? Probably not, but
right.
Maybe we just do it. Like, I don't know. Fuck.
Maybe. Yeah. It hasn't been fluid so far, Matt. Are you checking your phone right now? I hope that
I've been checking my phone. I'm sorry. I just
do it. If you don't check your phone, what if something breaks?
No, it's Zach Moss went to the Bengals, and that's why they cut Joe Mixon. And this is like the George Fant hour. Like in 2020 at like 9:45, the Jets made a move for George Fant. And I remember we were talking, we're like, fuck, is that going to be our left tackle? And credit to George Fant. He's probably like the fourth best free agent signing that Douglas has ever had.
Maybe George Fant will be our signing tonight too. Could be.
That'd be poetic. But also, like, you can like give me something, like extend Ashton Davis, like re-sign Thomas Morstead. Like, that would be
Justin Hardy. He tweeted eye emojis like 5 hours ago.
Laken Tomlinson tweeted eye emojis too.
Really?
He did too. Yeah, he's probably at the Dunkin' drive-through.
Yeah, he's gonna go be the left guard of the Cardinals or something. Like,
yeah. There's a Becton question up in the air too, Mike. I did DM Becton.
Did he answer?
No, and I said, do I need to start making the Mekhi Becton coming home video? Like, I feel like that's a good. I'm not like
as in he's gonna leave.
No, like he's like if he re-signs with the Jets, you could argue that I would make a coming home video. Like he's staying.
It's a good thing to DM him. It's not like
I don't want to do the
Were you gonna try to sign somewhere else? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a little weird.
So Raiders agree with Gardner Minshew. The Vikings, Commanders, and Broncos are all in on Sam Darnold.
Come on. Can the Vikings just
All
start him, dude? Would be so awesome.
Dude, I think if I'm Kevin O'Connell, I take Sam Darnold and try to do
Yeah.
something with him. And like, you probably don't do it because it's like a weird narrative. And you just don't want to have two bust from the Jets on your quarterback room. But wouldn't you take like someone has to take Zach Wilson and be like, I'll just do something for a year, give a 7th-round pick, and see if I unlock some type of potential.
I'm
And I
praying
feel like
it's
that would work for them.
just go to the Rams. Sean McVay with his stupid spiky hair bullshit.
Why would LaFleur want to reunite though with Zach Wilson? Like, I don't think that was a great marriage.
Yeah.
That's why the Rams never made sense to me.
I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Shit.
But the good news is tomorrow night when we record this, they have to at least have made one signing. Even if it's Thomas Morstead, they're going to have to have done something, which we can talk about.
Doesn't matter. Maybe the Jets, it's like when you do an auction draft in fantasy football or baseball, and you just, in the beginning of the draft, you spend all your money and, you feel pretty good about your team. But then you look up and you're like, man, like, there's all these dudes left. I had so much cash left. Joe Douglas, now he's got, you got Ridley, you got Tyron Smith, Zeitler. There's guys everywhere, man. We're in a great spot, dude.
You're
back.
You're so optimistic. We're fucking back after signing Isaiah Oliver.
I do like the Chuck Clark signing, and Zerline was great. In all seriousness, that was
like, you know what I feel like right now?
insane.
This is a bad analogy. This is a really bad analogy.
Yeah,
but that's what we're known for. I feel this is fuck. I don't want to put a bad omen out there, but I'm gonna do it anyway. It's like when the Rodgers trade happened. It's like season 6 Game of Thrones, like a banger of an ending. Like that is gonna be next year, and then season 7 was like disappointing, and then you're hoping for season 8 to be great. And right now, I feel like I'm at the start of a TV show or a movie where like I don't like the beginning and I'm very like nervous about where it ends. And maybe it ends with like the best twist ever, and I'm like, holy shit, they went there. But like maybe it just stays not good. Like if they hear me out. If they do not sign Tyron Smith, if they don't sign Zeitler, so both of them they don't get, and they don't bring in Calvin Ridley or trade for a Sutton, like in that scenario, Mike. If the only thing they do is get David Bakhtiari in like a fringe guard and don't really address wide receiver 2, like you can't be optimistic about that, right?
No, we're gonna be great. But you can always make a trade. You actually can. You can still make a trade. Like people trade people during the draft. Like there is the whole offseason. I swear I'm gonna be saying insane things. I will tweet out insane things. My actual real take is that before the season, if that is all that happens, fine. Then I will be very upset. And I'll be fair with Joe Douglas. I think we've been even like, we've been pretty negative with him when we have to. But there's ways to build a team, and this is one of them. And they're gonna do something, and hopefully it's more than what you just said.
I'll leave you with this one thing. Justin Jefferson loses Kirk Cousins, right? He's like, guys, I want out. Fuck this. I'm out.
Right.
And Justin Jefferson goes to the Jets. The Jets probably don't include Zach Wilson. The Jets they'd have to give 10 overall.
Yep.
And then you'd have to probably give a 2 next year.
Sure.
Like, does that even get it done?
I don't know, but I would do it right now.
Maybe.
Look, the Giants got Brian Burns for 2 and a 5, so it's a great trade for the Giants.
I don't know what the Panthers are doing. Like they could have gotten 2 1s a year and a half ago from the Rams, and you just don't.
Yeah,
like, you're rebuilding, and it's tough. The Bryce Young is so bad in hindsight, but if you put a gun to every analyst's head, I think 70% of them take Bryce Young.
Yeah, I don't kill people for the quarterback stuff. It is what it is. It's a complete crapshoot. Again, if Patrick Mahomes went 10th, it doesn't matter. None of this matters. Brady went in the 6th round. It's stupid. It's literally random. It's like you just spin a wheel and pick a random guy. He could be great. But dude, honestly, the thought has not entered my head that the whole Rodgers thing won't work out. It still is not even in my head. Like it has, I haven't once thought about it, and it's gonna work.
I think he'll do great in the areas that he can control. It's the areas
Yeah.
that he can't control, like a shitty offensive line, or like if one receiver goes down.
You know
And
what the good
Nathaniel
thing is, Matt?
Hackett.
Let's think about this too. This I think is gonna make people feel better. Going into last year, I liked the offensive line. I was happy that it was Becton, AVT, Tippmann or McGovern, Lake and I missed, and then Dwayne Brown in whatever configuration. I liked that offensive line. I think I did. I think you did too. I don't know. That's what we wanted, and that was the best combination of the guys that they had. We probably wanted them to draft a guy. They didn't do it, but on week one, that was the line. I was happy with it.
And like, if I told you that Becton's going to play every game,
Yep.
except one, Lincoln's going to play every game, Tippmann was going to be a plus for us at center.
Yep.
Right there, you're starting to be, this might
AVT,
be.
AVT died and Dwayne Brown retired like midseason.
Yeah.
Fuck. Dude, but
in fact, he didn't play up to standard, obviously, but he played
no,
every
right.
game.
Yeah, no, to your point, yes, that exactly. I think what the Jets will have this year is going to be better on paper than that. I do.
So.
You're still going to take the guy number 10. That's exciting. They're gonna sign a guy, Matt. They're probably gonna get Bakhtiari and like Zeitler. Which honestly, on paper, if you have a real backup option, like if they bring Becton back, if that line is Bakhtiari, Zeitler, Tippmann, AVT, and the 10th overall pick, that's a good line on paper. It's better than what we had, no? Like if Bakhtiari somehow plays, but again, you have to have a real backup option. If Bakhtiari plays, he's a Pro Bowl left tackle. I know he played one game in 2 of the last 3 years. I know. AVT we love. Tippmann we really like. Zeitler is a terrific player. And the 10th overall pick is a 10th overall pick, Matt. I'm serious. This is not me being optimistic bullshit.
So you're saying Bakhtiari, healthy, Zeitler, 10th overall pick, AVT, Tippmann, we're cruising. And it's like then you just have to get like a legit wide receiver too if you're going to bargain shop.
Yes.
On like not going crazy.
Right. So. Or then why the fuck didn't you re-sign Bryce Huff? Stuff like that. Exactly.
All right. We're going to wrap it up.
Come on.
A pleasure as always, Mike. Great video. Yeah. We'll be back tomorrow night. Anything else?
We're going to be good. I know the memes and everything are funny, and we are contributing to that. But let's see what actually happens, and then we'll judge Joe Douglas. And if it is, like you said, bargain shopping, weird, not Zeitler, backup kind of fringe starting guard, George Fant, I don't know. Like, then we'll be pissed off, but not yet.
Yeah. Have a good night, buddy.
Come on.